The Public Affairs Department of WALA Fox 10 presents your Social Security Report.
Thank you, sir. You're always right on the job. Good morning, everybody. I hope you let me come in. It's a pleasure that I look forward to every Sunday morning at this time. It's good of you to let me come in. A question came up just the other day from this good lady, which is something that I had to ponder when it came time for me to retire. She said, is there any time that's good during the year to retire, or any time that you shouldn't during the year retire? Well, as I say, that's a question that I had to consider when I was going to retire. I at first started to retire on the 1st of October because that was the anniversary date of my starting my long career with Social Security. And then I began to figure I'd have 9 months of salary plus some paid vacation time that I wasn't able to take, and they'd have to pay me cash for that vacation time that I was not able to take. When I put that in with the salary, it would be a nice little pile that I would have to divide with the Internal Revenue. So I said, oh no, I'll go ahead and finish out the year, have the full salary for the year, and then let that vacation time be paid in the next year, which is what I did. Well, with this good lady, it didn't matter because she didn't have any vacation time that she had to be paid. So I told her, as far as you're concerned, it doesn't matter whether you retire right now or next month or wait until the end of the year, because your salary for the year will not be counted until the full year is over, and then that's posted to your account. But if you want all the salary for the year to be counted, then I would wait until the end of the year and retire, and then you get the report for the full year of that salary and have that to be reported. Because even though you did not be able to report it or be able to count it now because it hadn't been reported, it would be reported later on, and then there could be a recomputation of the benefit made. But why go to that trouble unless there's some compelling reason why you want to go ahead and retire now? I go ahead and wait until the end of the year and then have all of those earnings for this year. So my advice to her was, go ahead and finish out the year, have all of those earnings for the full year in the computation of the benefit, and then you won't have to bother with a recomputation of the benefit rate. Now, I remember in one case some time ago where this gentleman had something a little bit different. He was figuring on retiring the 1st of November, and then he got the word that right at the end of the year, they were going to have a bonus paid to all of the employees. So he said, I'm going to have to wait until the end of the year to retire so I can get that bonus. Because, you know, bonus, as far as Internal Revenue is concerned, a bonus is not a gift. It is considered the same as wages or salary, and is subject to the income tax provisions and the Social Security tax provisions. So he could add that on for the year, this year, or it wasn't this year, it was several years ago. He could add that on for that year when he was planning to retire, or he could wait until the end of the year, and maybe they would be paying the bonus of the next year, so that would not be added to the salary. He would not have that to divide with the Internal Revenue Service, but he would be paid in the year when he wouldn't have any salary coming. So you see, you have to take all of those things into consideration when you're planning to retire. It's not just a simple matter of saying, I'm going to retire. So before you do make your final plans for retiring, be sure to consult with someone who knows about these things. You could go to the Social Security office. They'll be glad to talk with you about it. Or call that toll-free number, which is 1-800-772-1213. Tell them what your plans are and ask them, is that a good idea to retire now or wait until the end of the year? Or what would you do? And they will be glad to consult with you. But the clock on the wall says we're consulting with you to say that you have to go. So if you would excuse me, I'll be right back in just a few moments.
If you have questions or need assistance from the Social Security Office and are a resident of the Mobile area, please write to the Social Security Administration, Mobile District Office, 9 St. Emmanuel Street, Mobile, Alabama, 36606, or call 334-441-6165. If you have questions or need assistance from the Social Security Office and are a resident of Jackson, Alabama, please write to the Social Security Administration, 150 College Avenue, Jackson, Alabama, 36545, or call 334-246-6018.
Thank you for letting me back in again. I don't know how many times over the years this question has come up, and it's not the last time. It's going to come up time and time again. This good lady was saying, I'm in an awful quandary. My mother died on the 1st of October. Now, the check came as usual on the 3rd of October. Well, my neighbor on this side says, you're going to have to return that check because she was dead when that check came. The neighbor on the other side says, oh no, that check is all right because it covers the whole month ahead of the month when she died, and she lived through that whole month. Now, which one of these two should I listen to? Well, you should listen to the one on this side who says that check is all right because she was living through the month that it covered. You see, when the check comes on the 3rd of the month, or when it is direct deposit, and it is deposited to your account at a bank or savings or loan or a credit union, it is covering the month which went ahead. And if you live through that entire month, then that check is negotiable. So what she should do, since the mother did live through the entire month, she died on the 1st of October, and that check was covering the month of September, she should get in touch with the Social Security office, let them know who the proper survivors are, and the proper survivor should be the one for whom the check could be made out, it could be payable to. So it is negotiable, but it has to be given to or paid to the proper survivor. So do get in touch with the Social Security office. They'll be glad to help out with this. And this good gentleman said, I'm wondering, does Social Security pay partial disability benefits now? And he said, the reason I'm asking is this. I have a very good friend. He told me that he is drawing Social Security disability benefits. He didn't say what his disability is, but I noticed he seems to be just as well off as I am as far as physical ability is concerned, and yet he says he's drawing Social Security disability benefits. So I'm wondering, does Social Security pay partial disability benefits because he's partially disabled, or does he have to be completely disabled? Well, I know that could be very, very puzzling. I know of a case where I would say, just like this gentleman does, this friend of mine seems to be perfectly all right as far as the outer appearances are concerned. But I know that he has a very serious heart condition, and he has been adjudged by proper medical evidence to be totally, as far as Social Security's definitions are concerned, he is totally disabled. And that's why he's drawing the disability benefits, even though to all outward appearances, he's just as well off as I am. Of course, that's not too well off. He is in pretty good shape. But Social Security, to answer the question, Social Security, no, does not pay partial disability benefits. I know in many cases a person gets a little bit confused with veterans' disability. You know, in veterans' disability, they can be partial disability and full disability or something like that, I know. But with Social Security, you have to meet the law's requirement of total inability to engage in any substantial gainful employment to any appreciable extent. So even though to outward appearances the person may be all perfectly all right, there may be a very serious consideration, a very serious condition that does have them to meet the law's requirements. And this young woman says, I find in looking at my Social Security cards, it's funny, I never looked at it before like that, but I was looking at it the other day, and I see that my name is misspelled on it. Now, is that going to make any difference when it comes time for me to collect my Social Security? Well, it all depends on how badly it is misspelled. Actually, if it's the first name misspelled somewhat, it isn't going to make that much difference at all. If it's the last name misspelled, unless it is a serious misspelling, no, it isn't going to make that much difference, because the proof of age that she would bring in would show that the correct name is thus and so. But I would go ahead and have the record made. All she has to do is get in touch with the Social Security office, fill out an application which shows what the name on the card is now, what the name should be, send it and have that application sent in with the Social Security card, and they will be glad to make the change. And even though it is, well, unless it's a very, very minor misspelling, I would go ahead and correct the record right now, because you know, never know, something could come up later on. The proof of age would show it one way, and the Social Security card shows it's another. And if there's a very big difference, then it could cause some trouble. But the clock on the wall says we're going to cause you the trouble of having to leave for a few moments. So if you'll excuse me, I'll be right back.
If you have questions or need assistance from the Social Security Office and are a resident of the Eastern Shore, please write to the Social Security Administration, 368 Commercial Park Drive, Fairhope, Alabama, 36532, or call 334-928-2504. If you have questions or need assistance from the Social Security Office and are a resident of Andalusia, Alabama, please write to the Social Security Administration, 408 South 3 Notch, Andalusia, Alabama, 36420, or call 334-222-9701.
Back again, through your kindness. It's amazing to me how many different ideas have come up about a change that was made in Social Security beginning with the year 2000. And here's one of them. Isn't it true that beginning with the year 2000, this good lady was asking, that beginning with the year 2000, you can now collect retirement benefits as early as age 60? No. Retirement still has to be at age 62 for the early retirement benefits. Now 60 for winter's benefits, yes, that's all, I can't say that's always been a defect, no, but for some years that has been a defect. And as early as age 50 for a totally disabled widow, but there has been no change in the age at which you can draw the retirement benefits. It's still age 62 for the early retirement. And this question came up the other day. This good lady said, if I'm drawing Social Security retirement on my own account, and my husband is drawing on his, and he dies, would I get anything at all out of the husband's account? Well, in all probability, she would get the $255 lump sum death benefit. And by the way, that's not a funeral benefit or a burial benefit. It's just simply a lump sum death benefit. You can spend it for anything. And then they would have to look into it to see whether or not what she's drawing on her own was still more than what she would be drawing as a widow. Because if she's at least 65, when she files claim as a widow, she's entitled to the full benefit that he was drawing, or would be entitled to if he hadn't started drawing yet. If she's anywhere between 60, well, she was drawing on her old account, she said, so between 62 and 65, she would get the full benefit minus a reduction for each month, a little reduction for each month that she's under the age of 65. But remember that you're always going to get the benefit that is to your benefit, if I may have a play on words, because Social Security wants to see that you do get the square deal. So please check with the Social Security office if that should happen, as this lady was pointing out, and have them figure for you whether what you would draw from your husband's record as a widow is more than what you are drawing on your own record. And this question came up the other day from a good gentleman who said, isn't it true that the military is under Social Security now and have been for many years? The answer is yes to both parts of that question. The military came under Social Security on the 1st of 1957. They've been under it ever since. No matter what branch of the service you are or what your rank is, you're under Social Security beginning with the 1st of 1957. And if you were in prior to the 1st of 1957, there is some provision there that you could get some credit for the years prior, or some years anyway, prior to the 1st of 1957. So if anyone ever tells you, no, the military is not covered by Social Security, tell them that they are really talking through their hat, that they are wrong. Military is covered by Social Security. And this is a question that's a corollary to one that does come up ever so often. Ever so often, you know, just as we said a little while ago, how disabled must you be to draw disability benefits? This will come up ever so often. How retired must you be to draw Social Security retirement benefits? Well, if you're 65 now, you don't have to be retired at all. It used to be age 70 when you were considered statistically retired, but that's been lowered now to 65. So when you reach the age of 65, you have no earnings ceiling. You can be working as much as you wish, and you're still considered statistically retired and start drawing your retirement benefits, regardless of earnings. But if you're under the age of 65, yes, you do have an earnings ceiling that you have to watch. This year it's $10,080, and if you go over that, for each $2 of earnings over that, you have to give up $1 of benefits. So you do have to watch it if you're under the age of 65. The clock on the wall, though, says you're about to roll over overtime. So if you'll excuse me, I will be back in just a few moments.
If you have questions or need assistance from the Social Security Office and are a resident of the Pensacola area, please write to the Social Security Administration, Pensacola District Office, 1011 West Garden Street, Pensacola, Florida, 32501, or call 850-434-5488. If you have questions or need assistance from the Social Security Office and are a resident of the Pascagoula, Mississippi area, please write to the Social Security Administration, 1225 Jackson Avenue, Pascagoula, Mississippi, 39567, or call 228-762-3370.
And back for that last roundup. It really came around pretty quickly today, didn't it? This young lady was a little bit perturbed about this. She said, I lost my Social Security card and I wanted to get a replacement right away. Well, I was surprised at all the folderol I had to go through to prove that I am who I say I am. Now, I knew the number. I could quote that to them. But they said, oh, no, we have to have some proof that you are, well, I'll say Helen Jones, although that wasn't the right name. But why do they have to do all of that? Fortunately, she said, I had my driver's license with me, and I had a credit card, so I could amply prove that I am Helen Jones. But I wondered why in the world they have to go to all that trouble. Well, the reason is they want to be sure that you are getting your Social Security card. The devastation that has been caused when a person erroneously, or I should say fraudulently, gets someone else's Social Security number and sets up a whole new identity for that person, running up bills and so forth. So they are trying to protect you and being sure that it's you asking for that replacement Social Security card. And here's another one that comes up about Social Security cards. Is there ever any charge for getting a replacement Social Security card? I've heard, this is another one of those for the year 2000. I've heard that beginning with the year 2000, they're now charging $1 to replace a Social Security card. The answer is no. There is no charge. Social Security makes no charge for any of its services with one rather far-fetched exception. If there's a considerable amount of research that they have to engage in, looking up old records about your earnings, for example, have to go back into old records to find it, and involving considerable work, then yes, there could be a fee charge for that, but that comes up just so rarely. Otherwise, you can say, no, there's never been any charge for any services that Social Security renders. And by the way, speaking of Social Security cards, don't forget that when you're filing your income tax return after the first of the year, you're going to have a Social Security account number for everyone that you are claiming as a dependent. So if there was a new addition to the family this year, even though it's a babe in arms, you're going to claim that babe as a dependent, you're going to have a Social Security account number. Internal Revenue says, you can't claim this as a dependent unless you have a number, Social Security number. So beat the rush. Don't wait until the end of the year. Go ahead and get the Social Security number as soon as you can, and then you have that on hand when you start filing the claim or start making, not claim, but start making out the income tax return. And speaking of cards, it's always impressed me as how easy it is to get a replacement Medicare card. You don't have to bring in proof of identity, such as you do to get a replacement Social Security card. As a matter of fact, you can call that toll-free number, that 1-800-772-1213. Now, of course, they're going to want some identifying information. They couldn't have someone calling in somebody else's name and getting a Medicare card in that name. They're going to want some identifying information from you, but you don't have to go to the Social Security office, and you don't have to bring in some identifying information. You can call that toll-free number, and they will be glad to issue the replacement Medicare card for you. And again, no charge, nothing started the first in the year 2000. There's no charge whatsoever. Just call that number. They would be glad to replace it for you. And one other item in connection with that Medicare card. If you're going to the hospital and you can't find the Medicare card, don't get in a panic about that. The hospital will be glad to take the information from you as to whether or not you're covered by Medicare, the hospital part or the doctor bill part. And they call the Social Security office. I remember in the years that I was with Social Security, every morning we got a call from the hospitals, and we'd look up these names, and they would let them know whether or not this person had the Social Security coverage or rather the Medicare coverage, and that would take care of the situation. So even though you can't find the Medicare card when you're going to the hospital, don't let it throw you into a panic. Just go ahead to the hospital. The hospital will call the Social Security office, and they will be glad to look it up for them. But get in touch with the Social Security office and get a replacement card as soon as you can. Clock on the wall says you've got to be replaced, you've got to go. So until next week at the same time, from the heart, God bless you all, every one of you. Bye.
This has been your Social Security Report, a public affairs presentation of WALA Fox 10. This program has been pre-recorded broadcast at this time. If you have questions or need assistance from the Social Security Office, please call 1-800-772-1213.